I'm Laura Podesta in Detroit with a wrap of the first night of the Democratic debate, plus a warning that some candidates have for the general election.
Judging by growth, who'd have guessed that the economy here in Gallatin County is booming? How senior citizens are at the root of that.
Good morning to you and welcome to your Wednesday and your final day of July. Unbelievable. Our top story for you here, Senator Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren spent most of last night's debate fending off their criticism of health care plans. More moderate Democrats did try to present themselves as better options to beat President Trump in a general election. CBS's Laura Podesta has more from Detroit.
They're not going to go along. You throw your hands up. But
Democrats clashed over health care last night in Detroit.
Second of all,
you don't know that,
second
Bernie.
of all,
We'll come to you in a second,
I do know, and I wrote the damn bill.
Senators Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, two of the more progressive of the 10 candidates on stage, defended Medicare for all.
We are the Democrats. We are not about trying to take away health care from anyone. That's what the Republicans are trying to do. And we should stop using Republican talking points.
It used to be just Republicans who wanted to repeal and replace. Now many Democrats do as well. That is a disaster at the ballot box. You might as well FedEx the election to Donald Trump.
Many of the candidates promised a more moderate stance to prevent Republicans from defining the race.
If it's true that if we embrace a far-left agenda, they're going to say we're a bunch of crazy socialists. If we embrace a conservative agenda, you know what they're going to do? They're going to say we're a bunch of crazy socialists.
If you think any of this wonkiness is going to deal with this dark psychic force of the collectivized hatred that this president is bringing up in this country, then I'm afraid that the Democrats are going to see some very dark days.
Some stressed their electability in swing states as a way to break out in the crowded field.
I can win in states like Wisconsin and Michigan and Iowa.
And then in Texas this last year, traveling to every county, not writing anybody off, not taking anyone for granted.
10 more candidates take the stage tonight. Laura Podesta, CBS News, Detroit.
Now, this may be the last time some of these candidates are on that national debate stage. September's debate has a higher polling and fundraising threshold that only seven candidates have reached so far. Of course, the second part of the debate is tonight. And it was pizza and politics for some voters watching the debate last night in Bozeman. MTN's Gabby Crevitt attended the Democratic Presidential Debate Watch at Columbo's Pizza just to see how Montana voters were reacting to that round of debate.
About 30 people showed up to the Democratic Presidential Debate Watch Party on Tuesday night. The event was hosted by Forward Montana and Montpurg, which both promote young people engagement in politics. At the event, the crowd of mostly millennial-aged voters played debate bingo and had side conversations about candidate performances. The crowd looked particularly engaged when Montana Governor Steve Bullock took the debate stage for the first time.
It's always very exciting to see Montanans elevated to new leadership positions, and being highlighted nationally is really cool. But I would say it's even more exciting to see all the candidates this year really highlighting youth issues at the center of their campaigns.
Among the people at the debate watch party was Bozeman Representative Tom Woods.
It's interesting and I think important that we have our governor, vying for this position of president of the country. That is impressive.
Now, while there are some who are excited to see some Montana representation on a national stage, there are some who have their own concerns.
I'm disappointed in the governor that he's not taking care of the business in the state. He's kind of, in my mind, missing in action.
And it's not just the political opposition who have their concerns.
I think he would be a good president. This is a totally different game that he stepped into. I really wish that he would run for a position that served this state as well as he did governor.
In Bozeman, Gabby Crevitt, MTN News.
Now, another debate party will be held also tonight at Columbo's to watch the second part of the debates. Carson joins me now. Yay, Wednesday, last day of July.
Last day of July, you're right on that.
Crazy, crazy, crazy. And as you mentioned a moment ago in your last forecast, that means we are in the thick of fire danger.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is we're not seeing a ton of smoke in Bozeman right now, but that doesn't mean it can't happen at this time of year. We are under a red flag warning, which means that fire danger is going to be elevated. This runs from 2 this afternoon to 9 o'clock this evening. Dry thunderstorms, they will certainly be a possibility today. And it's a pretty nice morning, 40s and 50s right now, but we will start to see some of those dry thunderstorms move into the area after about 3 o'clock. Highs will be again comfortably in the upper 80s for Bozeman. Middle 80s are expected for Butte, again with that chance for a few storms. We'll talk about those chances and that fire danger coming up on Montana this morning. Missy?
Thank you for that, Carson. It is a perfect segue into this next story. Bozeman firefighters did respond to an overnight fire, not a wildfire. It did happen on a house on Patterson Road off of Cottonwood at about 9:15 last night. Now, witnesses say no one was home at the time, no one was injured. There is no report yet on what the cause of that fire was or to the extent of the damages. Of course, we will keep you updated as soon as we get a report from the fire department. And Gallatin County is growing faster than ever, but big growth means people need to find more jobs. This week, the Bureau of Business and Economic Outreach and the University of Montana are making stops across the state with the theme dubbed as the Silver Tsunami. MTN's Cody Boyer explains what that could mean for local economy.
We have a future look, so we're trying to look at what's ahead.
To look ahead, Montana Chamber of Commerce President and CEO Todd O'Hare says Gallatin County can't ignore what is in its rearview mirror. It starts with everything technological.
The tech industry is actually growing in Bozeman to the point where it's starting to make a difference on the overall economic needle.
But it's the baby boomers that helped build it all that were today's conversation.
We've got more people that are getting close or entering into retirement.
University of Montana Bureau of Business Economic Research Director Patrick Barkey says the facts are in the numbers.
There is this baby boom effect where the boomers are now really moving into retirement, and that has some impacts.
So we all know the growth here in Gallatin County has been up, but the Silver Tsunami part of this, well, it looks at the senior citizen count. To put that into perspective first, the average for senior citizens living in any county across the nation, that's about 16%. In Gallatin County, that's a bit lower at about 12%, but next door in Silverbow County, even higher, around 19%. That's a lot of numbers, and you've seen the aftermath while driving around town. Since 2010, Gallatin County's population has grown by 25% to about 112,000 people. The next highest growth in the state, Flathead County, with about 12%. Silverbow, only about 2%. O'Hare says more future growth is all but promised. So the challenge with growing numbers of retiring boomers, how can the county keep business booming?
I think the business community is going to have to start looking for innovative ways in order to reach out to a different sort of a workforce.
O'Hare says that could be done by bringing in more retired folks looking for part-time work again, or by doing outreach to local schools. It's a conversation he hopes to continue in the future. In Bozeman, Cody Boyer, MTN News.
Now, the Bureau of Business Economic Research didn't end its day in Gallatin County. The group's next stop was Butte, and that study dove into demographics in Silverbow County as well, hitting a wide variety of economic points. The Montana Chamber of Commerce says the community there is feeling many of the same pressures of other counties, especially as an aging community. Silverbow County has one of the oldest populations in the state, and it also has an older industrial base and housing inventory, with median home prices falling about $150,000. The state chamber says Silverbow's success still lies within its mines.
Hard rock mining is an important part of the Butte Silverbow economy, and it will be for some time to be. I mean, those are good paying jobs, providing important tax revenue, and so mining is going to continue to be a real strong, important piece of the Butte economy.
Now, the chamber also adds the problems with the aging community can be seen in the workforce as well, from day-to-day laborers and miners to engineers and scientists. And today is National Heat Stroke Prevention Day. The group Kids and Cars says so far this year, at least 24 children have died after being left in a hot vehicle. Now, some automakers are creating high-tech options to prevent a tragedy, while one teenager has come up with a very simple solution. Lisa Mateo reports for CBS News.
Juan Rodriguez broke down in court as he pleaded not guilty to manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide charges. Police say the Iraq War veteran went to work last Friday and forgot his one-year-old twins were in the back seat. He found them nearly 8 hours later.
My client is inconsolable. I mean, he is beside himself in grief.
And on Monday, a 2-year-old died after being left in a van outside this daycare in Florida.
It's a tragedy that happens often, whether it's 70 degrees or 90 outside. The temperature inside a closed car can jump more than 30 degrees in just 30 minutes.
Little children don't have to die this way.
Jeanette Fennell with kidsandcars.org points to several new vehicles with technology that reminds parents they put something in the back seat.
How can we not say something that would save the life of a precious child isn't of paramount importance?
Safety advocates are pushing Congress to pass the Hot Cars Act, which would require all car makers to adopt similar technology. While lawmakers consider the legislation,
this hang tag can go right over your mirror.
Hannah Rudy has a low-tech solution, a two-sided tag that tells the driver if there's a child in the car.
When you're in the car, you say baby in, and then when you and your child get out, you just flip it to baby out.
The 14-year-old from Virginia came up with the idea after 2 children died in her town last year. Now she's teamed up with local law enforcement to distribute the tags.
Kids are our future, and we need to make sure that they're safe.
She hopes her invention will do just that. Lisa Mateo, CBS News, New York.
Experts say at least one easy reminder is to leave your cell phone or maybe your handbag in the back seat so you don't forget your child is back there as well. It is time for a quick break. Let's